Okay, well, I want to start out real quick because I think there's a lot of confusion sometimes whenever we think of some of the terminology when it comes to this. So we've heard of seller financing. And we've heard of owner financing. Okay, and we've heard of sub 2, we've heard of wraps. So basically what I'm gonna be talking about is, I kind of think of these two words as kind of like the all-encompassing definition of everything from lease options to wraps to sub 2s to seller carrybacks. So whenever I think of owner financing and seller financing, I think of it as the big umbrella. So under that big umbrella, I like to think of how we kind of define some of these deals. And so I'm going to just, hopefully everyone on Zoom can see this too, but so we have a potential deal here. And I have a couple clients and their acquisitions folks here that probably have seen this once or twice. So we have a potential deal, and one is with no loan on the property. And then we have one with a loan. Okay, and under there, I usually categorize it if there's a FHA loan, a VA, or a conventional. I kind of have a couple of different strategies that I use for those. But the one I'm going to be talking about today is no loan. What do we do whenever there's no loan on the property? Do you think that there's a lot of motivation, financial motivation on some of those sellers? No. Some of these sellers are not financially distressed. Do you think they're younger or older? Yep. So now for those of you that already know the answer, please don't say anything here, but what does the word mortgage mean? Huh? Debt? Okay. What's a morgue? Well, where do we put dead people, right? In a morgue? What is a mortician? One that works with dead people, right? That's muerte, right? So a mortgage is a debt until death. A debt until death. So if you think about it, most traditional mortgages are 30 years, right? And depending on when you get that mortgage, it may take you the rest of your life to pay that off. So the strategies we're going to be talking about is seller carrybacks. And to be very clear and transparent with you, is this is something I put a lot of time into and learned, but I stand on the shoulders of giants, people that went before me that taught me this. I'm going to show you a couple deals, and I'm going to show you some clauses on some deals that we went through, and you'll kind of get an idea of how we put some of these together. And then I may even ask one or two of you about some potential deals and how I'd structure this. So let me see here. All right, so we're going to talk about seller carryback deals. And first, I want to talk about what it means to be cooperative versus adversarial. And you can't participate. He knows what's coming. Okay, so think win-win. Whenever we get into real estate negotiations, we usually think one person wins and one person loses, right? So we want to think win-win. So who has never, ever seen me give a presentation before? If you can raise your hands. Cool, I want you and you, please. Come on up here. Oh, Alan, are you coming up? Yeah, come on. Please. No, please, no, I want you. Look at this. Oh, sorry. Next one. Okay. Oh, this is going to be good. So just to let you know, he just did this little demonstration at Sean's event. And no, what was your background?
Judo.
You medaled in judo and grappling, jiu-jitsu. So I felt really bad for the guy going up against him. Okay, so I need you two to step over here. And so if you can face him and you face him, and I want you to put your right foot right next to each other. So Put your right foot forward and then your right foot on this side.
On this side.
Okay. Yep. Love the boots, man.
2 left feet.
Yeah. Now put your right hands up. I kind of like the arm wrestling. You're going to arm wrestle. Okay. So now the goal is you need to win. Okay. You need to win. You need to touch his shoulder before he touches your shoulder.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Who do you got your money on? On Alan right here. Raise your hand or clap if you think Alan's going to get this. And what about Chris over here? Who thinks Chris is going to get this? All right. All right. When I say 1, 2, 3, go, that's when I want you to go. Okay. 1, 2, 3, go.
This is like one of those collaborations.
Okay. All right. So who won? Okay. So
I don't think either one of us did. This is a collaboration over competition.
Okay. Yeah. So let's think. Yeah. You're getting. So put your feet right back where it is and your hands right where they're supposed to be again. Okay. Now this time I want you to do things a little bit different.
Okay.
Just both of you keep the hands right there.
Yep.
Now both of you bring your shoulder into the hands. Now, did you both win? Yeah, you did. Thanks, man. Thanks.
Well done.
You want a leg wrestle now?
Thanks. So is it possible for both of them to win?
Yes.
100%, right? So it's absolutely possible for us as the investor to win, as well as the seller to win. Okay, now if we sell these deals too, it's absolutely possible for the landlord and buyer to win as well. It could be a true win, win, win. So thanks for playing, appreciate it. And it was nice to get some 2 ripped guys up here too, so. There we go, that looks familiar. So now, Alan, you brought up collaboration over competition. That's kind of like the theme I live by. For those of you who don't know, I have a mastermind called the Go Giver Mastermind. Started a few years ago, about 3 years ago, and asked several, it was mainly for wholesalers at first, and wholesalers that this was their full-time business. This is what we wanted to focus on. And then the goal was to talk about what's working and then what we need help with. And then mastermind started to grow and grow and grow. And to this date, I don't charge for it. But it's helped me tremendously. I've done a lot of deals with almost everyone in there. And is anyone in the Go Giver group or been in the Go Giver group? If you can raise your hand. Okay, now keep your hands up and look around if you've done deals with anyone else in the room. Lots of hands still up. You see that? That's why I did that. That's the reason why I put that mastermind together. So, all right, let me see here. Click, click. Click again. You got it? Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is an interesting little stat. About a little over 1/3 of all homes in the United States are owned free and clear. If you don't believe me, just Google right now, grab your iPhone, and hopefully you'll all have iPhones, not those other phones, so, or your Androids, I guess. Yeah, there's not. Yeah. Seriously, Google this right now and find out how many homes are free and clear in the United States. Let me know what answer you come up with. I hear someone talking to Siri. Okay, what'd Siri say? 37%, right? Some articles will give 38%, some will give 40%, but 37% of homes in all the United States are owned free and clear. That's pretty cool, right? So there's some potential for deals out there. Now, here's another interesting stat. Homeowners over the age of 70 have 68% of them own the home free and clear. So now we're over 2/3 are free and clear. Now, if you think about that, and I was trying to find more stats on the mom and pop landlords, because I really think that's the big focus right now, is those that own like 5 or less rental properties in their own name, not necessarily LLCs. So there's a lot of free and clear properties out there. And it's hard. A lot of times we think, oh, it's just hard to negotiate. They're stuck on their price. A lot of times they want their price. So this is my very first seller carryback deal. Now, this looks awesome. This is a 10555 East Crescent. If you have Monsoon, you can look it up. My real name is on there. I did this deal before I had an LLC, before I knew what I was doing. stumbling through it. Thanks to Dave Goodmanson, he helped me walk through this process, and you're going to see some of the stuff that Dave added in here that I said, okay, I don't know what you're doing, but sounds good to me. And you're going to see why it was beneficial to me. So this was a real estate agent and her husband that owned the home. They're retired landlords. And this is located just off like Signal Butte and Broadway in Mesa. And at the time we locked this up, I think it cash flow around $350 a month, I think. So let me show you the contract. So we bought it for, look at the, does it show the date on here? It was October, I think 2013, but I don't see the date on this one. So we bought it for $154,000. We put earnest money down. Now look, I was doing things traditionally, right? Now, by the way, I had a private money partner, family member that helped me get into this. And we put a down payment on, and then we did seller carry financing on this. So the loan balance was $115,500. That's after a total of how much? $10,000 and $28,500. $38,500 down. Okay, right? Oh, there it is, October 1st, 2013. It's a long time ago, Dave. Huh. Now, look at the genius what Dave put in this for me. How long did I have the loan for? 10 years. Now look at the step up interest rate. Do you see this little first line? Interest rate for the years 1 through 3 is 4%. By the way, I think interest rates were 5% or 4%, almost 4.5%, 5% at the time. I can't remember exactly, but increases to 5% for years 4 through 10. Why is that helpful? On a mortgage, is all the interest paid at the beginning or at the end of the loan? At the beginning. So that's why that's helpful. And then now if you look, I had the right to extend the balloon because she wanted a balloon. She needed a balloon on it. She was just no way around it. This is just, she knew real estate. She knew her price. She was a realtor. I wasn't going to try to finagle her down on price, but I did ask for, just in case I needed a little extra time to sell it or get it fixed up or something, for another $1,000. We got another year. Now, since then, we've structured deals just like this. We've gotten 3 years extra for $1,000, 5 years extra for $1,000. But at the time, I was like, wow, I can't even believe this is possible, you know? And then we got a $5,000 discount if we pay the loan off within the first 24 months, which we didn't. But if I did, then it was to my benefit. I've had other landlords that I bought properties from that have a stipulation in there called a prepayment penalty. Yeah. Yeah, that would cover all the closing costs and stuff too. Yeah. So he was my realtor on this. So he helped me put this all together, and he's done hundreds of these types of deals. This is my first one. So I didn't know what I was doing. So I just like, whatever you say, boss. Now here's a settlement statement. So we had some cash flow. Now I don't like to talk about cash flow a lot because anyone have rental properties? Okay, I'm assuming nothing ever breaks, right? Okay, and I'm assuming that you never have vacancies, and that little bit of cash flow that you make every month, you get a pocket every single time, right? So the reality is a lot of times things come up. Things break. We actually had the AC go out on this one. We had to fix things. We've had tenants. I made a mistake. Let me share a personal story real quick. My wife will probably kill me telling you about this, but we had tenants move out and they had animals, and they were nice tenants and they got behind. It was great because they had a big bank statement. I used to be an underwriter for a bank. So I asked them for bank statements, I credit qualified them, and I think they have plenty of money, right? Well, right after they moved in, they bought a brand new car. Then they bought another brand new car with their savings. And then they were making payments, and then they got behind. And so we finally said, okay, look, we're either gonna have to evict you or you're gonna have to move. So they moved, they left stuff behind. And I'm assuming everyone that has, as a landlord, has always had their properties perfectly clean when they moved out, right? So this one was not. This one was less than that. So I asked my wife if she can help me find someone to help clean the place. She said, oh, I'll go over there and I'll bring a couple of my friends. Oh my gosh. It was like World War III and a nuclear bomb went off because there was so much junk, there was so much dirt, there was so much dog mess. I mean, we had to recarpet, we had to repaint. And my wife's just like, never again, never again. And the advice that I got at that time, I didn't listen to. Dave, what did you tell me to do? Don't ever have your wife clean one of your rental properties. Never again.
Your wife's not Mexican.
No, her friends that she brought over. Just clean. My wife loves to clean. She just got pissed off at these guys. Everything was destroyed. Like she wanted to hunt them down and try to find out how to get more money out. And I was like, it's gone. We got the security deposit. Don't worry about it. And so now I realize I can't always get emotionally attached to some of this stuff. So, all right. So we did make some cash flow. We did sell it a few years later. This is the payoff on the first loan. So we got, what was it, in 2013? So this is 2017. And so this looks really good, by the way. Like I can stand up here and say, wow, dude, I made almost like $80,000, right? That's not the truth though. So I actually, if you subtract the down payment, what I had, my actual profit was a little over 41. So, but is that still good for 4 years? That's not bad, right? Okay, so let me show you another one. So this is one that I got when I was working with Sean Terry. And at this time, I got better and better at negotiating deals. The landlord was a tired landlord. He is asking basically full retail price. And I walked in and the tenants were still moving stuff out. The carpets are trashed. The garage door didn't work. There's broken windows. It did not look like this. This is after we painted it. It was in really bad condition. And so, but he was stuck on his price. So the owner actually owed $30,000 on the property. So what's interesting about this is the owner actually came to close with how much? 30. He paid off that first note in order to do the carryback for me, and I came in with none of my own money. Okay, so here's the terms. Purchase price was $175 with $5K down, 5% with the 5-year balloon, and he had a prepayment penalty on there. So I had to keep it at least 3 years. Otherwise, I was going to pay him another $7,000. So I borrowed $20,000 from a private lender that helped me get into the property, that helped me with my $5,000 down payment, and then the rest of the money went towards the fix up. Okay. And we cash flowed. We could have cash flowed more, but we cash flowed about $350 a month, which I was pretty happy about. And the tenants were great on this one. The way I actually wrote the lease on this one was if they paid on time, they got a $50 discount every month. If they didn't, the full rent was another $50 on top of that, and then late fee too. So, they were really good tenants. And then it was time to sell, and I thought I was really smart in selling right before the crash. And right after I sold this, then COVID hit. So I was like, yes, like I sold it just in time. I wish I would have held on to another year now, but all right, here's the final settlement statement. The first loan payoff, so I had 2 loans, remember. The first loan payoff was $161,743. The second loan there was a little over 19. And that was my take home after the down payment, and was actually netted over that, actually over 42, if you include the cash flow that I had to, but it was actually ended up really good for me. So that was another one that we had just for a few years. And the way I negotiate this, here's how it goes. Okay, Brad, will you pretend to be the landlord? Okay, Brad, you want $175,000 for the house. Okay, and it's in bad shape. It maybe is worth maybe $190 or something like that. So Brad, how much do you want for the house?
$175.
Okay, if I give you $175, can you let me make payments to you?
Sure.
Boom, I'm done. That's my negotiation. It really isn't that difficult. Usually the way that we do these creative financing deals is we create them. We have to ask. Most of the time we don't even ask. But once you start asking, it almost becomes addictive. You know, you start taking over payments, start taking over loans, you start creating seller carryback notes, and then you start getting even better at it. But really, the way you negotiate is you pretty much give them what they want. You can't do that on every single thing, but most of the stuff, if it makes sense and it cash flows, you make work, right? If it cash flows down, would you say that's usually pretty? Yeah. And right now we've been really, well, hold on a second. I don't want to go over there yet. Okay, we had a real deal here, right? Okay, and if we can, if you give me the address and maybe we can pull it up on Zillow. 1100 Wentwood. How do I spell it? W-E-N-T, Wood. Okay. Drive. Irving. Yep. And we just talked at lunch, right? So it's not like I planned this one or anything like that. Okay, and then what is the seller? What are they asking? Asking 260. And the ARV, if it was all fixed up, what do you think the ARV roughly? Around 320 to 340. How about 330? We'll split the difference. Okay, and tell us a little bit about the seller. How's the seller? 95 years old. She doesn't need the money. She's not using it for a vacation in Miami or Honolulu or anything, right? She just wants to make sure that her kids or grandkids are taken care of. House is vacant. So is she getting any rent? Okay. I already see Brad smiling. All right. For those of you that do create a financing, what do you think about this deal so far? Think there's some meat on the bone? Is there equity? Okay. Now, how would we calculate our payments? By the way, go ahead. Would you feel comfortable, or what would you feel comfortable receiving a payment every month? I like that. So if the rent, do you know what the rents are on this? So, all right, about 3K a month. Wow. How many bedroom? It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Okay, wow. All right. Okay, so I'm going to ask for some feedback now. Some of you I've already talked to and trained on this, so if you can kind of like not chime in on some of this. What is how would you negotiate this? What would you say? How much do you want to walk away with? Okay, what do you mean by that? What's your immediate cash needs? That's an Eddie Speed thing, by the way. So immediate cash needs, I like that. Well, she doesn't need anything. So then what? Yes, I would. What do you have in mind? Okay. Hold on a second. What were you going to say? So he said 0% for the first 5 years, and then what was it? 5% for the next 10 years. By the way, when I negotiate, you'll never hear me say the words 0% interest. Why won't I say that? We just talk payments, right? We just talk payments. So she's savvy. She understands interest. She wants to earn some interest. Okay. What's fair? Oh, I love that. So dive in deeper. That, by the way, is one of the most important things. The deeper you can dive into their wants and needs and greeds and what's going on and solve those problems, you're going to be so much better off having them collaborate with you and working together. Because now, if I'm trying to sell her on this, right? She doesn't need the money right away, right? What is she really trying to do? How old was she? 95. preserve a legacy. So if she can set something up where money comes to her inheritance, to her kids and grandkids on a regular basis, would that make her feel warm and fuzzy? No. So if we can do that for her and help her on this, that could be a benefit for her, right? Go ahead, Dave. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is you're lazy. Yeah, you want money coming in. No. I'm just kidding. Explain that a little bit. So she can add people to the deed of trust so they can receive payments? She can divvy it up to different heirs or potential beneficiaries, right? Go ahead. So she can set up a trust. Well, she said, I'm 95 years old. I've never done a trust before. Trust. Can you help her connect to someone that can do that? Most of the stuff that I've been able to get deals done with is because I've been able to just go one more step and help someone that someone else wouldn't help. I'll give you a case in point real quick. I'm going to sidetrack for a second and we'll come right back to this. We were doing a deal in Glendale, and it was an inheritance property. The brother of the deceased was in California. He did not want to come back to Arizona. His brother passed away. The funeral home had his remains. The funeral home had his ashes. We needed the death certificate in order to close the deal. So there was still a balance owed to the funeral home. So what we ended up doing is we went and paid the balance off. We got the death certificate that we needed for the title company and to finish the process for the probate and everything. And then I had to ship the remains. Did you know you can only ship human remains to the United States Postal Service? I didn't know that. That was the first time I ever did it. So. Yeah. But because we went that extra step and helped them out, we got not only that condo, but we got the second one as well, because we solved a problem. It was too hurtful for him to come back. It was too emotional for him. A lot of times they're selling things out of emotion, and it's not always logic. I mean, they may understand the logic of what they need and what the purchase price is and what the values are, but a lot of times there's something else going on. And if you can solve that problem, then the world's your oyster. You can really do a lot more deals. Okay, on something like this. So who has a mortgage calculator? I'm going to give you, if you look up on your app store, this is one of the simple, easiest ones to use. There's all sorts of fun ones. It's Easy Calculator. And I think there's a free version. And if I remember, it's blue and yellow, right? On the icon. So do you have your app there? So I'm going to ask you to help me figure out how we can help this lady. So what's a fair interest rate right now? 3%? 16%? What if you Google mortgage rates on a 30-year mortgage, what does it say right now? 2.25%, 2.5%, maybe 3%. So if we bump it up to 3%, is that out of bounds? Okay, so let's do a 3% interest rate. Okay, so you got 3% there. We're going to do a 30-year amortization. So what is my principal and interest payment on that? The loan amounts right now, she's asking $260, so I'm putting that in there right now. $1,096. Okay, and 17 cents. That's for the PI. That's not including taxes and insurance. Is this in Texas? So the taxes is probably like $2,000 a month. No. So if we included tax and insurance, what do you think would be fair in Texas on something like this? 12. Another one, I'm sorry, so another $300. Okay, so another 250 roughly. Okay. All right, so it's, what was the total? Sorry. 1250. Wait, 1250, 450. Oh, 1250. Okay, so 1250. Okay, so PITI, that means principal, interest, tax, and insurance. We're paying out every single month, $1,250. What can we rent it for? Can we give her full price? Can we give her interest? Do we get terms? Honestly, like I know this sounds like I'm joking around, but this is how you guys see me negotiate on the phone, right? This is how I negotiate, right? Okay, sounds good. You want that? If I can do that, will that work for you? That's it. And I shut up. Now, I didn't bring up down payment or anything like that. So I'm going to pick on Dave in the back because he's one of my best friends, and we've done lots of deals together. So Dave had a property. Hopefully it's okay to share this one. It was a mobile home. I think the seller wanted $55,000. I think you gave him $5,000 down and $500 a month. Yeah, he gets 50% off. So if the seller's asking $55,000 and he gave him $5,000 down, what's left on the loan amount? $50,000. He says, okay, by the way, the rents are probably like $900 to $1,000, right? And he turns around and says, okay, if I give you $500 a month, would that work for you? He's like, yeah. What did he just negotiate? 0% interest until the life of the loan is paid off. So he paid that off in 100 months, which is what, 8 years, something like that, or? Okay, so what would happen if he had 5% on that? You want to throw the numbers in there? $50,000 at 5%. Yeah, we did a 30-year on this, but so he paid this one in 8 years. If we did this one in say 15 years, what would that be? Amortize over 15 years. Okay, so a little bit cheaper, but how much did he end up paying? $71,000. So he saved himself over $21,000 just by saying exactly like how he said that. Just saying, what would you like? Is it okay if I give you $500 a month until it's paid off? So it's not rocket science, but until you start to understand how interest hurts or helps you and how you set up these notes, Alan, I know you're smiling, right? This is your bread and butter, right, John? Yeah, you love this stuff, don't you? Have you done a few of these, right? Yeah, there's a one or two. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's it. They usually, by the way, how do most sellers appraise their properties? Right? Zillow. Now, a lot of you are like, oh, don't go off Zillow. Okay. If I can cash flow, right? If I can cash flow and it makes sense and I get a long enough term, the longer the better on these, by the way. Even if she wanted to have a balloon paid off early, I would still do this, right? So just to help you understand this, there's a lot of different ways. Once I got this locked up, could I just keep this as a rental property? Yep. Could I sell this using John Jackson's idea of selling it on a lease option? Or keep it as a lease option, right? So you get the depreciation as well, right? Because you're still the owner. Good. Uh-huh. Yeah. What? Almost always, whenever it comes up, say, hey, you call them up. You ready? Here's how my negotiation goes. Okay, hey, we're coming into some money and we're looking to pay off a couple of our debts and thinking about paying off yours. If we pay yours off, could you give me a little break on the payoff? Yeah, what do you have in mind? I don't know, 20,000 off that payoff. You mean I can get the money like sooner than later? Yeah. Boom. Now I just made an extra $20,000 profit on my deal. Right? I'm not you guys have done this many times, right? Is this out of the realistic opportunity? This is realistic, right? If you ask, that's it. That's most of the time people don't get these deals is because they never ask. They've never asked. Good. Ooh, that's an Eddie Speed move right there. So you put the first right of refusal to buy the note, so they can't sell it, right? So if they go to sell it to someone else, then you get that. That's an Eddie Speed move. He has some awesome ideas too. So I can rent it and keep it. I could Airbnb it and maybe make even more money than the $3,000 a month, right? I could sell it on a lease option, so I keep the depreciation, right? Could I also owner finance that, seller finance that, or sell it on another carryback or a wrap? Yeah. So what you're saying, I could actually probably bump up the price. Okay, and I can probably bump up the interest rate. And then I can sell that house and just keep the cash flow on that. Ooh, that's sexy. Yeah. What type of down payment do you think I can get on a $330,000 value? 5%. So what's 5% of that? If 10% is 33 grand, at least half of that, 17 grand, right? At least, maybe even more. Maybe even 10%. Okay. And is it possible to bump that interest rate up to 5, 6, or 7%? I don't have to go above the value. There's a lot of people that try to like basically rape the next buyer, right? But if I do this right, I can win, the seller wins, and my end buyer can win too. And I can cash flow on that too. So then all of a sudden you're no longer a landlord, you're a loan lord. How many calls would you get for the AC that breaks down? 0. So if you own a home right now and your AC goes out, and you call Wells Fargo and says, hey, you need to fix my AC. Right? It doesn't work like that. Okay. There's multiple exit strategies. The easiest thing I want to tell you is there's opportunities out there for these seller carrybacks, and they're usually they're pretty savvy. They're not in financial distress. So we think we need to negotiate hard on price, where honestly, we can give them exactly what they want. Remember the little demonstration up here where both parties win? Both parties can win every time. We can give them what they want and we can get the terms we want. Okay. Questions? Good. If I sell the property on owner financing, so I sell the house, I'm out of it. I just hold the note. I become Wells Fargo or Chase Bank. So downtown Phoenix, right? Think about downtown Phoenix. Think about downtown Dallas, downtown Houston, downtown LA. If you look at the big, tall buildings, what names are usually on the top of those buildings? Banks. How can they build such expensive buildings when they're charging 2 and 3% interest? Because they arbitrage. They arbitrage what you put into the bank, and then they go and lend it out at a higher interest rate all the time. So that's we can easily do that. Go ahead. I'm so wanting to use one of your Eddieisms. Can I use it? Or am I going to steal your thunder? It's your chalk and your chalkboard. It's up to you, whatever you negotiate. If the seller is willing to cover that, all repairs or up to a certain amount, most of the time, by the way, if I do a lease option, I'm selling on a lease option, right? Or I'm working with a seller on a lease option, I'll go and get a home warranty. How much is a home warranty per month if we do it per month? $35, right? How much does it cost for a service call? 50 to 75 maybe, right? And that covers majority of the stuff, right? Can I build that into the rent payment too? Yeah, that's what I would do. I mean, and you can put anywhere. I usually do anywhere. I usually cap mine about 500, usually 300 to 500. I usually put a home warranty on it if I'm going to do that like that. So I saw another hand. Go ahead. Yeah, let's throw some objections at me. Yeah. Okay. So if I default, month 1 or month
2 years later, or actually, no, one I'm marketing right now.
Okay. So if that happens, could I sign something called a deed in lieu of foreclosure and give you the property back? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of ifs, right? So here's the thing, when it comes to negotiation with sellers, I kind of walk them down and let them understand the pros and the cons. And I'm not afraid of any objection they have. And a lot of times, ready, here's my negotiation. Maybe this isn't a good fit for you. But let me show you this. So let's say, remember, she wanted to sell the house for $260,000, right? At 3%. Okay, let's say we have this, and in 7 years, you got your calculator over here, right? So in 7 years, we paid her off. Remember, it's 3% amortized over 30 years, right? The payoff is how much? Yeah, the original balance is 260. 218. What was it? 353. Okay, now how much cash flow does she make every month? Well, so let's call it 1,100, just rounding up. 12 times 7, what's that? 84 months. Okay, 1,100 times 84. Okay, help me out here. What's the total here? 90. What was it? 92,000 and what? 400. Okay, let's add 92,400 plus the 218. What's the total? 310,400. Okay, look, maybe this isn't a fit for you. You might be able to list a property and get your 260 that you're hoping for. But just so you know, if you do sell to me and we went out at least 7 years on this, you're going to walk away with 310,000. I like to do the net sheet for the sellers a lot of times. I wish I could say I was a killer, like awesome NLP type of sales guy. I'm more logical. So I just kind of like do, okay, if you sell with a realtor, you're asking 260, you walk away with this, right? It's usually less than that. If you sell to me and we go out at least this much, then it's 310. What's the difference of 310 and 260? 50,000. You can make $50,000 more selling to me. And then I shut up. What's another objection?
I have yet to
Full amount, 50%, 20%. Yeah. Yeah. I always try to find out why. What's that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But on this, if it's free and clear. So we'll say this is a free and clear, and they want how much of a down payment? What would you say? So you asked the question. So what were you saying that the down payment was?
So I don't have any specific numbers to work with, but I come across sellers that are
more interested in doing short-term seller financing. We'll
Right.
call it 60 to 90 days that I can
Mhm.
negotiate that in upfront. I have yet to find someone that wants to say, oh, I'm willing to sign and sell my property for this
Yeah.
much for 30 years at this interest rate. That just doesn't happen to me thus far.
So when I worked with Sean, and it wasn't that long ago, just a few years ago, we had a guy that worked with us named Rafael Cortez. And he bought, we bought a lot of properties on creative financing, seller carrybacks and wraps. And guess what? Sean told us, said, okay, look, everyone, you're allowed to lock up these deals, but you're only allowed to give the seller $5,000. Guess where our ceiling was in our head? $5,000. Guess what we negotiated at? $5,000. Guess what? We locked up deals left and right. What happened whenever Raphael came? I was still doing $5,000. He started to do the 0% or zero down or $1,000 down. And here's how the conversation goes. Hey, Mr. Seller, how much do you need to move? It's $1,500 for the first month's rent, another $1,500 for security deposit. Okay, how much is it going to cost for a U-Haul to rent? $300. So where am I at right now? 3,300. Say 3,300. What if I bump it up to 3,500? Would that help you a little bit? Yeah, that's great. And they said yes all the time.
You would think, if they need some money, worst comes to worst, you find some place that you can easily place a first 60, 70% LTV. You could always have the seller second as well.
Yeah, like that. The one deal I showed you, I used a private money second that Dave helped out on, put $20,000 in private money second for the down payment and also for the fix up. There's money, there's private money available out there for a lot of these type of deals too. What, any other questions or objections on this type of carryback or negotiations?
Seller.
The tax implications for the seller, that's a good one. So if it's owner occupied, do you have to pay capital gains taxes if you sell the property? How long do they have to live in the home out of the last 5 years? 2 out of the last 5. So a lot of our deals that were like the sellers moving out, a lot of times they didn't do this. Sean, by the way, Sean with his integrity and stuff would make us do this, is let them understand that there is a tax implication and we can go longer. We would prefer to go longer, but in order for you to avoid capital gains, depending on what they bought it for and what they sold it for, right? Then we can just go ahead and just make it for 36 months. And yeah, thanks that his dad's an attorney, so I gotta be careful. I'm not giving legal or tax or accounting advice, everyone. So, but on most of the stuff, the longer you go, the better. The longer terms you can get, the better. And so one of the negotiations that I just did, I sat down with someone and they wanted to get paid off quicker. That was one of the things that they said before we even went into the qualifying mode. So, okay, well, what did you have in mind? Most of the time, we do these loans for at least 12 to 15 years. Well, if I'm paid off in 10 years, that'll work. Okay, that's fine. So it really, don't overthink this. It's not as crazy and hard as you think. And really, if you give the seller what they want, and it's okay to ask for the terms you want. And you can show them with the net sheet how they're going to end up making better money off of this as well. And do you think you as a landlord will make better money too? So do you think you'll win? You think you make cash flow and you can sell it at a higher price? Yeah, so it's a win-win. Any other questions before I bring Eddie up here? Nothing? Go ahead. Ooh, I like that. I haven't done that, but that's a beautiful idea. I haven't done that. But see, there's all sorts of things you can do, right? All sorts of stuff you can do on this. Now, hopefully was this helpful? Awesome. So one of the things that I have been through recently is I went through Eddie's school, Eddie Speed's note school. It was a 3-day note school. And I literally sat there and wrote down notes. And you ever feel like you ever drink out of a fire hose? So much information. There's so much good information, and I just feel like I need to apply this like yesterday. Some of the stuff and strategies that he's able to come up with, some of the ideas that he's able to use and create. Now, he totally understands everything about creative financing, but then he totally understands everything about notes and note investing and how to make that a long-term asset on the other side as well, right? This is one of the things that I think that is kind of like the pinnacle of everything we're talking about today. What do we start off with first thing? What's the first? What lease options? And then what did Sean talk about? Wraps. Then what did Pace talk about? Sub twos. Do you see the method of the madness here? What did I just talk about? Carrybacks. So now imagine taking everything you just learned and how to make say you make $10,000 on a regular wholesale deal, how to make that 100,000. If you make $30,000 on a wholesale deal, how do you turn that into $300,000?